This is Tampa Home Talk, and this is hour number 2. Thanks for joining us. We are glad you are here, and we got another exciting show lined up that we know is going to be right on time for those of you listening still in the car, hanging around, going wherever you're going. Thanks for tuning in. And also joined for hour 2.
I'm Leo Kane with Barrel Engineering and Inspection and Hurricane Claim Experts.
AKA Trivia Buff.
Trivia Buff.
And Adam Talley with Talley Insurance.
And we're also going to introduce our guest for the show, and today's topic is going to be all about how to maintain your air conditioning to get maximum life. Some of those FAQs that people like me and maybe the person listening has no idea, and we're just going to have some fun all around with how to keep you cool during these super, super hot months. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Mario's Air Conditioning and Heating and Mr. Dennis Martin.
Yes.
And that's you. You are the safety director, right?
I am, and I'm also in the new home construction part of Mario's.
So fun. We're going to talk about what you do and a little bit more about that as we move along here. And then we also have Cody Wiggins, service manager. Oh, he's not here. I'm sorry. No, you did not tell me, Cody.
Nope, Thomas.
You replaced him out on me and didn't tell me. So introduce yourself for me, will you?
Well, I'm Thomas Hager, the install manager for Mario's Air Conditioning. Take care of all the residential replacements, all that kind of stuff.
Thomas, thank you for joining us. We're glad you guys are here. Before we jump into AC, we didn't do an insurance tip of the week. You want to do that, Adam?
Yeah.
Especially with number 9
Number 9 hanging out there.
Nothing
We
from
did
you?
get our citizens binding restriction last night. But it's always a good time to remind people that even if you are not in a mandatory flood zone, you could certainly have a flood claim, and that's not covered by homeowners insurance. And there's a 30-day waiting period.
So if I want flood insurance, I can't even get it right now?
If you wanted flood insurance today, I could certainly sell it to you, but your effective date would be October 13th.
Why do they do that? We never did answer that.
The reason they do is exactly for situations like today. So if you got that storm out there, they want to protect themselves from people getting insurance just for that, just
So
for that
why
storm.
wouldn't they let you get insurance and just not cancel? I guess they can't, right?
They
Technically.
just can't. Yeah, and honestly, with the NFIP, there's only certain reasons why you can cancel. So you couldn't even.
What? What do you mean? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Okay, tell me more.
Well, I mean, so for instance, like you can only cancel if you say you sell the home or if you do have duplicate coverage. However, they're going to want you to probably cancel the other one.
So you have to wait until basically it
renewal.
expires, and then you can say, I'm not renewing.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Absolutely. So if you do have flood questions or anything else like that, text FLOOD to 813-377-2775. I would love to answer all your questions.
Now's
and
a
help make sure you're
great time to
protected.
be asking them, too.
It most certainly is. So I going to miss the rest of the show. I'm very sad about that, but I think it's going to be a great one. I'm going to listen to it on the ride.
Thank
into
you.
the
We
office.
appreciate it, and we're glad you're here. It's funny how we can actually run out of mics. I don't know how that happens. But we do. All right, so we're going to have a little bit of fun with this situation here and just talk a little bit about what to expect. So when you think about properly maintaining your AC and making it more energy efficient, what are your thoughts on that? Who's the best person to actually answer this question?
I'll probably take suit on this one. So basically, as a homeowner, what you want to do is, in Florida, an average air conditioner runs anywhere between about 2,800 to about 3,200 hours in a year. So it's recommended to have maintenance done twice a year. You want to do the AC side where we come out, we can clean the coils, do all that kind of stuff, check electrical, refrigerant, all that stuff, make sure you're getting the most energy efficiency out of your unit, and then do the heating side so we don't have any problems, fires, anything like that on the back side when you go to fire up the heating in the winter. When you get that weird kind of smell that comes out the fans.
Yeah.
Everybody gets that burning oil smell, and they're like, what's this?
That's bad. That means I can have a fire.
No, it's just residual, like bacterial growth that's built up on the heat strip. So stuff like
I
that.
think everybody's heat smells like that if you turn it on, doesn't it?
For that first little bit, yeah, most definitely. So
tell me a little bit about Mario's Air Conditioning and Heating. How long have they been around?
Right now, Dennis, that's going to be your point.
Mario started in 2004. He had worked for other companies prior to that, but we have been up in that area about 2004.
What area do you serve?
We actually go all the way over into Polk County, up into Marion County, down into Sarasota, Bradenton area.
So you serve Sarasota to...
Ocala right now.
Okay.
And then over as far east as Polk County.
Wow, that's a really big area.
It is.
cover area.
Okay. And so how many people do you guys have working with your company?
There's right now we're at just over 60 people. We're looking to expand a little bit bigger than that with some things that are coming up in the near future.
Over 80 years of combined industry knowledge. That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And what is, I'm seeing on here, you're also NATE certified. What does NATE, N-A-T-E mean?
NATE is North American Trade, and I can't remember the E certification. I'm
Expert,
actually
maybe?
Expert, excellence. I think it's
Okay,
something of
like
that nature.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. But
You
it's
should know
basically
that. What does NATE stand for?
It's basically a test that each technician is supposed to take over, say a 5-year course that shows that that technician is trained in their specific field, whether it be installing an air conditioner, repairing an air conditioner, or just general knowledge of air conditioning all the way through. And each one of our technicians are certified that. If not, we have them on a training regimen where they can get up to the par and learn that stuff and get onto the NATE certified side.
So what does the 34-point inspection actually mean? Like, what is that exactly?
So
What 34 points are you checking?
It literally, and that's kind of everything they go through on the system. So they will go through refrigerant point. They will check all electrical components in the outside unit. They will clean out any leaves, debris in the outside unit, flush out your drain line, make sure that we don't have any flooding going on inside the house. Then they work inside on the inside unit, and then they check out your duct work. They inspect everything up in the attic. They will also check for amp draws, making sure we're not too high on electric consumption, the whole 9 yards. And it's literally a 34-point list through it. So
What's it look for? I know you got questions.
No, North American Technical Excellence.
perfect.
Okay.
There you go. So
We moved too fast.
Yeah, I was just
Let's
you
answer.
asked me a question and immediately went into a great rendition of what the benefit is, but I never got to answer.
Thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
So go ahead. I know you got another question.
No, it always surprised me we do a lot of residential home inspections, and how many times when we're inspecting a house and we ask how many times you change your air filter, and they tell us I'm supposed to change my air filter.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Or
that
the worst
conversation
case
comes up.
scenarios, I feel bad for the landlords so where's your air handler? They're in it's in the closet. Which closet? And it's usually the one with the dressers in front of it.
Covering,
because,
yeah.
because you can't use that closet, so people just put furniture in front of it because it's wasted space.
Yep. Out of sight, out of mind. Some people have a bad tendency forgetting on this or whatever.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Whatever that word I'm trying to make up there. So basically,
okay, you
it
can
comes
make
down
up
to-
words as you go. We don't
Yeah,
mind.
that's how it works. So anyways, when you got a filter inside the house, obviously you want to check that filter every 30 to 60 days. Check the filter, inspect it. If it looks dirty, then probably time to go ahead and change that out.
What if it's sucked into the unit?
Then obviously you got something else going on, and that's when you would call Mario's Air Conditioning, and we can come out and come take a look at that and find out what's going on there.
I know, Leo, yourself, as well as our guest, are a great person to answer this, but let's talk about, because that can happen so much, and we were just talking the last hour
What, filters
about...
getting sucked up?
No. Give me a second. We were just talking about buying investment properties, right, and building wealth through that, and part of the challenge when you have a tenant property as opposed to an owner-occupied property is the way it's kept and maintained, right? Not all tenants are bad, but generally speaking, tenants are not going to maintain your home the way that you would. So with that being said, in that scenario we just talked about where someone's never changed the AC filter in a year, right, of a lease,
Then
they've
you
never
need to
changed it.
fire your property manager. I get around that with my rental properties. I have it in my property management agreement that they'll go to the property once a month and change the filter.
And I totally agree with that 100%. We put it in ours as well, and I agree, and I think it should be that way as well. But I'm talking about for the person listening that doesn't have that.
So the person listening, you need to talk to your property management company and tell them that they need to go in the property once a month,
Inspect it visually.
inspect it visually,
Make
and
sure
change
there's
the
no
air
dogs
filter.
not on the lease.
Basically, they're going to use the premise of I'm changing your air filter to make sure they're not growing meth, they're not running guns. I had a inspection earlier this week. The house burned down because they made a meth lab in their master bedroom. Property manager hadn't stepped foot in the property in 2 years. They were cooking meth in Tampa, Breaking Bad style. 2 years, property manager never stepped foot in the property.
Man, it's too bad Adam's not here. Adam, if you're listening, you need to call in and talk about from an insurance side. I want to know, how does that work? Because if you're cooking meth in the house, like it's really hard to. You
And
gotta
it was
go all
a
the way
fire,
down.
so I mean, to rebuild the house, they're rebuilding the house.
Ooh, interesting. All right. So the question is, and we'll have to answer it when we come back right after the break, but if you have that AC filter, hasn't been changed for a year, you know it's going to be dirty. What's the impact on your system long term?
You just spray it with a hose and throw it back in.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth when we come back after the break. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775, 813-377-2775. You can call or text us at 813-377-2775. You got a question? Text away. We'll answer it on the air. We'll be back right after this break. This is Tampa Home Talk.
Good morning. Welcome back. This is Leo Kane with Tampa Home Talk and Katrina Madewell. And before Katrina can steal my thunder, I've got a great AC question to ask. I've got this apartment building complex. It's got Chinese drywall. I keep having to change my AC system. Why?
Well, that'll actually have to do with the coils.
Sometimes I don't think people actually even know that they have Chinese drywall, right? That could be a possible.
Well, if you have to change your AC system at once every 3 years, you probably have Chinese drywall.
There you go. There's something to look for.
The cause and effect of that, I've ran across this situation a couple times. What actually happens is the Chinese drywall will actually eat up the copper or the aluminum for the coils for the system. So it actually destroys the refrigerant system for these units.
And that's about right every 2 to 3 years.
If it's in the home, the only thing that I've seen as a fix on that is actually just getting rid of the drywall in the house and then re-drywall in the whole house. Or you're just going to have to deal with, maybe you might want to look into getting the coils dipped. There are some manufacturers, Lennox is one of them that we use, that can actually get the coils dipped and pre-coated before they go into the home. That might give them a little bit more time on it. So might be something they want to look into on that
If
side.
I had a home with Chinese drywall, I would not want to live in that home
Well, I
with
don't
Chinese drywall.
have that. That was a theoretical scenario.
Makes sense,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, going back to the other question I had, if you got this property, or like Leo's scenario, I guess after 2 years, the property manager hasn't seen it and it's burned down because there's a meth lab, it doesn't matter. But if it's been a year, right, and no one's changed the filter, there's furniture blocking the intake. Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
Or
the
retention?
door with the little grill, so the air, the
Yeah, so the
return.
air is supposed to
So it
flow
actually
freely.
cools down your house. You blocked it up, but it's okay. It still works. So the cause and effect of that is it's kind of like a dirty sock. So if you put a sock inside your lungs and you try to breathe, right? If that sock starts to get really, really dirty, your lungs are just going to fail on you, and internal organs are going to start to fail, all that kind of stuff. Same thing happens for my air conditioner, right? If I get a dirty filter, it can't breathe. So then we're going to ask for increased pressures on my coils, which is going to cause mechanical damages, which is going to hinder your efficiency, and then also the breathing aspect of it. You're going to have bacterial growth can form inside the units, which then can go into your duct system, which then can ruin a duct system and avoid having to have duct cleaning. So changing your filter is probably the one most important thing that I could recommend to anybody. Kind of touching back on the basis of when to do it, a customer at one time had an excellent idea. Every time you get your electric bill, check your filter. That's the easiest reminder. So when you get electric bill,
I think the
check your
problem
filter.
is everything's on such auto pay right now, right? Like
out of
people
sight,
are on
out of mind.
autopilot. Yeah.
Yep. So
the first of the month, right?
first
When
of the month,
when
yeah.
you pay your mortgage payment, you notice that one's moving.
that one's definitely
So
coming
I
out.
have
You're
an
checking it out.
AC question. This is more science related. So cold air falls, hot air rises.
Correct.
So I understand why I would put my air supplies up in the ceiling. Cold air falls. But why are my returns on usually at the floor level?
Typically, I would ask if it is a floor level return, we try to relocate those up to the ceiling, because there again, that's the same principle. You want to get the hot air out of there, cycle through the equipment, so we can remove that hot air inside the house and get it back down to the temperature you desire.
And you're in the new home space, right, Dennis? So you can probably comment on the designs you're seeing in new home construction.
That's just what Thomas has been saying. That, we're always looking for more efficient ways to do things, not necessarily less expensive, but more efficient, because over the life of the home, when you put the equipment in and you locate the things in the proper manner, it's going to save the homeowner money in the long run.
Does it matter what kind of filter you use in your system?
Well, that can vary there. I mean, you can go, if you go into like a Home Depot or Lowe's, you can go from, your cheap super that you can see straight through the filter all the way to the ones that look like a piece of plywood that doesn't look like much airflow goes through it. You got to be very careful on what you kind of pick for your home based upon your system. You need to know what kind of system you have inside your house. If you have a variable speed inside fan motor, or if you have a set speed fan motor, those make differences on regulating your efficiency.
What does that mean, and how would you know? I have no idea. Like what you're saying right now, I'm thinking about my air at home. I have no clue.
So there's a MERV rating scale out there, which is basically, it picks up the particle matters that fly through the air and stick to the filter. So the higher the MERV rating, the more particle matters it's going to catch.
We're actually getting some comments on our Facebook stream. Would you mind if I talk about that?
Yeah,
Because
let's go
it's
for
super
it.
relevant. So he's talking about the return being actually low.
Okay.
How he's had issues with it, and he's had to put vinegar or bleach every so often.
Correct. That he's probably referring to the drain line there. That would mean that he's having a lot of bacterial growth buildup in there. Maybe it's in a location. Maybe there's pets inside the home. Something of that nature. Loose ductwork that's allowing that bacterial growth to form more predominant inside that system.
What do pets in the home have to do with it?
Well, pets they shed. They lose hair that sticks to your filter, which there again, you're asking for bacterial growth.
Even if your filter is high in the air where your return is?
Oh yeah, they're definitely. You should ask my husky at the house.
Oh my gosh, I have one of those too. They're terrible.
Humans lose hair and skin as well. I just want to say that in defense of the cats and dogs.
Not me. You do.
Pet dander, human
It clumps together on the filter, and that's the whole point. The better the filter is, it's going to catch those dust particles, those animal hair, all that stuff, and it's going to clump together on those filters.
If I can just add to that real quick, the easy way to remember that is lower the number, the bigger the holes. The higher the number, the smaller the holes.
What do you mean? What number? On what?
The MERV rating. The MERV rating is how you scale how good your filter is.
Where do you see the MERV rating? I have no idea what you're talking about again.
Typically, most your filters will actually have it labeled on the system itself, on the filter itself.
So
It'll
it
actually
says
say
MERV?
MERV. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay, and what are those numbers?
Those numbers are just it's a government-rated test that actually they determine based upon this filter, it's going to pick up this much dust mites.
Is it 1 to 10, or what's the numbers?
They go as low as anywhere between 6 to 7 I've seen as low, and they go as high up as like 16. So
how do you know which one to pick?
There again, it depends on where your system's located. So your technician, your AC company that's out there that's doing your regular maintenance should give you a recommendation based upon where you're at. If it's an idealistic world and you have the space and you could do everything, I would recommend maybe using like a MERV 16, which is a big fat media filtration. It's a fat filter, and that filter only has to be changed once every 6 to 8 months. It also
So I think I have both here. Like if you look up in the office, I got those little ones in the ceiling, but I have 2 AC units in the back with huge filters, and that's what you're talking about, right?
Correct. And you want to try and avoid. You only want to have one filter for the
Right.
system. If it's one point of access, that's where the one filter is. Now, if you have multiple returns through the house, then you need to have multiple filters throughout the house. So each scenario is going to vary depending upon each situation. Depends on which home you're walking
So
into.
if you've got a low return and it's not in the ceiling and you're having some of these issues, right, with high humidity kind of shutting the system down and backing stuff up.
Correct.
Which one should you use?
I would say anything above a MERV 10 or higher at that customer point. You want to stay more of like a pleated style filter. Just try to stay away from these hog's hair or the blue. If best test that you can do for a filter is if you hold the filter up and you take a like salt container, pour it over top of the filter. If the salt goes straight through, how much do you think it's picking up on those dust particles going through actually is the air conditioner working? So the same thing goes with the the pleated filters. If you put the salt there, it's going to catch that salt before
So
it
you
goes
probably can't do that in your local hardware store.
through. No, obviously don't do that in Home Depot's aisle, please.
But it would be definitely a great test for the next time.
Correct, yes.
And you can still use it after you pour salt on it.
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right, so there you go, Michael. Use a 10 with a pleated filter, at least a 10 MERV rating. And then at what point do you recommend relocating that return? Does that happen?
That typically most homeowners try to do that when they're replacing the air conditioner. So that's because obviously sometimes once the unit's ripped out, then it's a little easier to do that. There are some cases where we can do it beforehand. It just depends on how dirty that customer's filter gets and how regularly that if it needs to be relocated for them.
Now, oh gosh, what was I gonna say? I forgot. It left me again. You don't have nothing, Leo? Stop texting. He's totally texting.
I'm not texting. I'm emailing.
Okay, emailing.
There's
Sorry.
a difference between the two. Just exciting. We're learning about the MERV. We learned about, what was this, NATE. We're learning about acronyms. These are all trivia pieces.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And you'll probably use them at some point.
So do you guys work with a lot of property managers or homeowner associations?
It's kind of hit or miss on that. I mean, it obviously willing if it's a business when we can move forward with that kind of stuff. But at the current moment, I don't think we have a lot of that.
Gosh, it was something. The handler. if the air handler is in the attic, does that matter? What's the difference? That's what I was going to ask.
So I'll give a good example for this. If the air handler's up in the attic and air condition, unless it's an ice and ceiling, most attics get up to around 120, 130 degrees. So versus putting an air conditioner in a space that's 80, 90 degrees, which one do you think would, as a worker, would work better for you long term? Overall, the air conditioner likes to be. It can work up in the attic, but idealistic. It needs to be down in a conditioned space or somewhere, where it's not getting beat up.
So you're saying the life of my AC is less because it's in the heat?
Unfortunately, it will shorten the lifespan on an air conditioner.
Definitely.
Any units up in the
I
attic.
did put it in solar attic fans.
That'll help.
That'll help.
I mean, you have to think about it. You've got, if you think about generators or other large air handler units for commercial properties, if they put them in garage-type buildings, they put louvers for airflow all over to keep the units as cool as possible. So, yeah, we don't have space in Florida, so putting them up in the attic makes sense.
Well, if
but,
you look at the floor plan, like the design of my house,
but
there's
it's
no place to
much,
put it.
much better. Also, it's better to maintain it. You're easier to catch the drip pan. Usually they're rusted through before you notice them up in the attic. But
Or you don't have a ceiling that falls through because
Yeah.
a drain pan, if a drain
I
line
have
gets
a little
clogged.
thing in the garage, so it would leak down there first. I
Okay,
think.
so probably emergency drain line. If
Yeah.
that one's working, then it shouldn't be doing that.
Well, the cool thing is I've got a smart thermostat, so it usually
Yes, ma'am.
tells me if anything's going on.
Correct. And most of your systems are built in. If they are up in the attic, they do have safety switches that are built into them for the drain line. So if they back up, it's supposed to shut the unit off. And then in some cases, most cases, you're going to have an emergency pan below, so it's going to have two forms to catch that.
All right, you're
So-
listening to Tampa Home Talk. Stick around. We'll be back. We have to take a really quick break.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. This is Leo Kane on Tampa Home Talk with the science of air conditioners for our hour with Mario's Air Conditioning and Heating,
Let's not forget about Mr. Pat George back there at the studio.
who's drinking.
Working a bit back here by myself, all alone, no breakfast, no nothing.
I know, and it was your birthday too. I actually thought about coming to the studio today.
He was spoiled
Because
by
it
the
was your
whole show.
birthday yesterday.
Sure you did.
I have a present for you. I bought it when we were both in New York.
Okay, well, you know where to find me today.
I know where to find you for sure.
Okay, I have a question about AC units. I was talking to a guy out at the home show, and I have an American Standard air conditioning system that has been with me now for 20 plus years. I haven't had a problem with it at all. And he told me that should be something like maybe an 8 SEER. And he said if I buy a new one now, it would be a higher SEER air conditioner, and I would save money. And I said, so good. Maybe if it breaks, I should do that. He said, no, you should just shut it down right now and buy one because you're going to, in the long run, save money.
I'm going to give you my opinion, Pat, and then we'll let the experts give you
I
their
don't want
opinion.
your opinion. I want the expert.
Well, I just have to tell you because I proactively changed my own air conditioning unit. I had a tank. It was a York
Okay.
system, which is more commercial, isn't it? But it was like a beast. It was a tank. It was original to the house.
Is
And
it
I
like
thought
a chocolate peppermint patty?
it was huge, just a big tank, a big beast looking box. And I'm like, let me just be proactive and change this out so I'm not like without air on a 2-week waiting list to get a new AC unit. And I've had more issues with my new unit than I did with my beast old unit that always ran. Just saying. Now the experts can answer.
All right. So, to answer your question over there, Paul. So, if my thing is, if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
See, he just told you what I said.
However, I will say this: if you have a technician that comes out and does a proper maintenance on that, and they see the amp draw consumption's up very high on it, and your electric bill's up high, if your electric bill is $200, $300, $400 plus, then it might be time to go ahead and replace that unit and go ahead and upgrade to a higher SEER rating. And yes, he is correct. The SEER rating, just like the MERV rating that we were talking about with the filters, the higher the SEER number, the better the efficiency on the system. SEER rating is Seasonal Energy Efficiency Rating. Basically, it just tells you how much it's going to cost you on your electric bill to run that unit. Same thing as like a water heater or a refrigerator. So, it may be time to start. You need to have yourself prepared because an average life expectancy in an air conditioner in Florida is around 10 to 15 years, depending upon how you maintain it. If
You just said
maintain it
yours is
good-
30 years, Pat?
No, it's a little over 20 years.
Oh,
I haven't
20.
had a problem whatsoever, but I'll tell you one thing. I moved that air handler out of the attic, put it in the garage. It made a world of difference.
there we
It
go.
does.
Exactly what we were just talking
How
about.
feasible is it to move it when it's already in the
Relocation projects take about a day between the electrical that needs to be moved, the refrigerant lines, and moving the ductwork down into the garage. But
So why wouldn't someone talk about that when I had my AC replaced?
Or there's an or there. If your air handler is actually above your garage, like it is,
It is.
So if it's above the garage, instead of moving the air handler, just build up the drywall around it and make it part of the garage.
Yeah, that would have made sense.
Yeah.
bring it out of that 120, 130 degree attic. I can see that point. That'll bring a longer lifespan. Obviously, case in point,
there's trusses
25-year-old.
there, and there's a truss under it.
If it's not
Drywall.
possible.
You easily encase it in dry. I see it all the time.
Yeah, they'll actually do a cutout almost
Yeah.
type, build up around it so that it's down in the garage space
Yep.
instead
Oh,
of
I've
in the
seen
attic.
those. As soon as you said it,
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, I know what you're talking
But
about.
new home builders do not put that in the attic anymore. Is that correct?
Dennis?
That's your question right there.
That's not always true. It depends on the builder, the design of the house.
For the I would say it's a smaller percentage.
It
right?
is a smaller
Much smaller
percentage now.
percentage.
Absolutely.
Actually, depends, because there's a lot of times where I'm in a two-story house, and then there's like this little cut chase on the second floor to get into the attic
Little
system, and
cubby
the air
hole.
handlers are there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Can we ask Michael's question that he had?
Oh, about hybrid water heaters?
Yeah. Would you remember what the question was? Or
He's
do we have
saving
scroll
$40
up
to
here?
$50 a month using a hybrid water heater. So let's start with what is a hybrid water heater?
By nature, from previous experience with water heater, it's basically like having a water heater but having an air conditioner on top. So it does the same principle as what an air conditioner does, but it uses the heating side of it where you dissipate the heat to actually heat up the hot water. So the air conditioning, the cooling, excess cooling that's left over gets blown into your garage. So if your air conditioner is in your garage, it's going to keep it 70, 80 degrees in that range, 90 degrees.
Is that a whole
tops.
new system, or can you?
That's a whole new water
System,
heater,
and
yeah.
it's huge. So some of the science behind that is energy is nothing more than heat. So when your units use energy, you feel them and they're getting warm because heat is created. It's the output of excess or wasted energy.
Mm-hmm.
So what this water heater is doing is taking that output of the wasted energy and putting it into the water, and the water's collecting it and heating up.
How does it create air in the garage?
Well, it's an air conditioner on the top, and it's blowing cool air, and its waste heat is used in the water.
So same principle with an air conditioner. An air conditioner, by nature, if you go out to your outside unit when it's in AC mode, and you put your hand over top of the fan that's spinning, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be hot air that'll be blowing out of there. And if you go inside in the vents, it'll be cold air blowing out the vents. Well, if you do it in the wintertime, it's actually reverse. So it'll be cold air coming out the vent outside, and it'll be hot air coming out inside. So same thing happens with the water heater. You're using the heat to heat up the water, and you're using the AC is just excess. They're just trying to get rid of it. Just happens to be in your garage.
Yeah. So during that 1 week of winter we get in December or February, you should test it out. What he was saying about the difference between the cool air being pushed and stuff.
Yeah, no, I've definitely felt that before. I know what you're talking about.
They're predicting an entire week this year.
No, there is a week in December and there is a week in February. We get a portion of that week is winter.
I hardly ever really turn on my heat, to be totally honest. Like, it really almost never happens. It has to be really, really cold, and we turn it on to literally take the nip out of the house, and then it probably goes off. Because I'm always hot. So never put the heat
I'm in
on.
a 100-year-old house, so whatever the outside temperature is, the inside temperature is.
Might as well just not have any units at all. Just open your windows.
Couple that with wood floors, that 1 week of winter is freezing.
So, as a homeowner, what are some preventative maintenance that people should be doing to maintain their system? And I guess a piggyback question on that would be, how often should the system be maintained?
Well, let's go with the last question. So maintaining the system every 6 months is what I recommend. Obviously, best time to do it is, March, April, May, right before AC season starts. And then you want to do your heating side, say October, November, December. Not that we have, a much, but it's still nice to have the heating side to make sure everything's functional on that side.
I'm on an April-October system myself, so.
Now, what happens when you maintain it? What do you do when you come out every 6 months? Like, what are you doing? What are you looking for?
Well, we're just obviously looking for anything standout stuff, a high electric consumption. If we see a part that's starting to fade out, we try to give you be a recommendation to replace that part before it fails, because nobody wants to be inconvenienced. I don't want to have to go out at 11 o'clock at night or on 4th of July weekend because a fan motor goes bad. Well, we could have replaced one little part and it would have taken care of that. So it's all preventative stuff. As far as a homeowner, what they can do, stay on top of changing the filter out. Try to flush out their drain lines. If they have a drain line, my big thing is just using warm water. Some people like to use bleach, some people like to use vinegar, but if you just use some nice hot water, a few cups of that through the drain line will flush out majority of it.
I thought
out
the
of there.
vinegar and the bleach kind of got out the bacteria, huh?
It does and it doesn't, but you have to be careful because of the PVC with the PVC glue, and it sits in that trap. So you don't want that bleach or that vinegar to sit in the trap of the unit.
You have the chemical engineering degree. You're a good person to comment on this, Leo.
Well, if you put the vinegar or the bleach in there and it sits, then yeah, it's going to eat the glue. It won't
Okay.
eat the PVC; it'll eat the glue. That's why a lot of times I see them put the stuff in. They use a wet vac to
And
make
flush
sure
it.
they flush
Correct.
it through.
The absolute top thing that a homeowner can do, two things, is work on that drain line on a consistent basis, and the filters, and then get the maintenance done every year, and they'll be shocked.
So when you say work on the drain line, what do you mean? The filters are easy. I think everybody
flushing the
listening
drain
knows
line,
that.
doing the
Okay.
water with flushing through the drain line, trying to do that as much as they can.
Should somebody be doing that every month as well when you change the
I'd
filters?
say every 2 to 3 months, around that ballpark. That should be safe. I mean, and if you're having your regular maintenance done every 6 months, you shouldn't have to do it, but still wouldn't hurt to do it.
So
It's
the
one of those
regular
things.
maintenance, what does that cost to do? And do you guys have plans or somebody can stay on it? You just schedule them every 6 months?
Correct. Yeah, we have a maintenance contract for the year, which includes that twice-a-year visit. That runs us $149 for the year. That comes out basically equates to about $75 for a visit. Also gives a discount on repairs. Does the same thing like I talked about, checking all the refrigerant, the electrical.
What is it if they don't have a
ductwork.
contract with you guys?
I mean, then you
Little
can
more?
run specials, Paul. There you go. You can
There you
speak
go.
about some of our wintertime specials here.
Yeah, well, it really depends on what kind of specials we have. Sometimes we'll do like a promo. We'll get it down to $49.95.
Do we have one of those right now for our listeners?
We do actually. We're
Okay.
running into the fall conversion here.
So $49 inspection, checkup,
It's a PMA.
maintenance.
And
PMA
we
is what you
just
call
tune
it?
up. We just go in there, look at everything, make sure it's operating.
All right, so for
It's-
$49, it's a really good time to get your AC checked out. Call or text AC to 813-377-2775, 813-377-2775, and we'll get your AC checked out, maintained, and get you on a plan to make sure it doesn't cost you more money later.
Yeah, we really have to be on the lookout and prepare for that 1 week of winter that we get. So
Well, it still baffles me in Florida why Florida doesn't care if you have AC or not.
But they care about the heat side.
Yeah,
That's-
I know, isn't that funny?
it's
It's
one
an
of those.
FHA thing.
Yeah.
So it's nationwide. It's an FHA because we have to abide by HUD Handbook 4000.1, minimum property standards. You must have heat in Florida.
Yeah.
So one of our listeners is asking, because they're watching the live stream on Facebook, we were talking about flushing out the drain line
Yeah.
with vinegar or bleach.
Okay.
And you said just hot water will work. And he was saying basically it didn't work for them on their system.
Okay.
And can they rerun the drain line?
Most homes, yes, you can rerun a drain line depending upon where the location is of the unit. If not, they have this marvelous thing called a condensate pump that will allow me to basically put it wherever I want for a drain line, and then it pumps the water outside. Most homeowners, if they have a wet, dry shop vac, they can go outside, hook up to the outside, clean out the drain line, but they do need to reprime the trap, which is just flushing water back down the drain after
That
they're
is
done.
all the stuff you're saying is so Greek to me. I would have no idea how to do any of this stuff.
So more science.
And it's in my
the
attic.
trap is the little U.
Yep.
I
And then
get that. I
You
know
want to
what
make
that
sure
is.
there's water in the U because what ends up happening is you want to keep methane from backdrafting into your house, so the water actually collects it.
I just don't know how to do it. So we're going to have to video you guys when you're doing
That's
it in a
fine,
property
sure.
or something, then we'll post it.
Fair enough.
Right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
You sound like you've been doing this for at least 5 minutes.
A
So-
few years, maybe.
Katrina, you have a 19-year-old. She can use YouTubes.
Exactly, I'm
Speaking
sure.
of YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe online. You're watching the video here on Tampa Home Talk. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so every week when we post our videos,
Get
twice a
updates.
week, you get them right in your mailbox.
And let us know what you think. If you got a suggestion for a future show, if it was entertaining to you, if we should have talked more or less about something, let us know. We'll take your feedback, good or bad. We don't care, but thanks for watching.
And just, I was just thinking, we have a question about the condensate pumps. Are they loud? I actually have one, and I like to hear it once an hour going off. It's not very loud, but it's when I don't hear it, I start to panic. So it lasts about maybe 1 to 2 seconds. It sounds like it's a motor ramping up, ramping down. It's not loud. I can hear it in the next room over, but with the bedroom door closed, I couldn't hear it.
All right, we do have some more questions, so just hold on to this thought. We're going to answer when we come back right after the break. And we're almost out of time. Can you believe it? Like 2 hours has flown by.
Wow.
All right, this is Katrina Madewell. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. Stick around. We'll give out our off-air number in just a moment right after the break.
And a message from Tampa Home Talk to everyone out there.
PSA.
Public service announcement. Do not use vinegar and bleach at the same time. Do not use vinegar and bleach at the same time.
Why?
Protect what matters most, your family. We don't want anyone dying of chlorine gas. So do not put vinegar and bleach in your system
One
at
or the
same
other.
time.
You can rotate.
I just say use one or the other
Pick
permanently. I wouldn't rotate. I wouldn't want to get confused.
Just pick one.
Just pick one and run with it. I'm a very big fan of bleach. There's a lot of things out there about the joys of vinegar, but bleach is where it's at with me.
I guess that's a preference, right?
Yes. And you like how I have that nice, calming public service announcement voice?
I know, right? So what's the difference between the traditional AC filter and inverter system?
Ooh, that's a
Do you
good
get
topic.
that?
Yeah,
I don't even know
yeah.
what is
So-
an inverter system.
Okay, so let's start on inverter system. Well, let's start actually with the traditional air conditioner. A traditional air conditioner goes from basically 0 to 100. When that thermostat comes on, it's going to tell that air conditioner to come on. It's going to come at max potential power, 100%. You're going to get everything at once. So kind of think of like a pie chart. It's going to, like a chart, it's going to go up. It's going to run for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however much it needs to cool the area. Then it's going to go off for, 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. Then it's going to come back on. So it goes up, down, up, down. You're creating kind of the zigzag going back and forth. Now, an inverter system, the way it's designed is, it actually will, as a 64-point, or at least our Lennox do, have a 60.4-point variable speed compressor. What that means is it can range all the way up from max 100% all the way down to about 10% capacity. So it can literally fluctuate itself in between there. And based upon the humidity levels inside the house, it's going to try and remove humidity out, which means that it's going to stay more of an even keel power consumption. So its ideal range when you have an inverter is it doesn't want to live at 100%. It wants to live at that 30 to 60% range, so your power consumption goes down, which means your electric bill is going to go even really, really down.
Are they more expensive?
By far, yes.
Okay, it's like double more expensive?
Traditionally, yes. I mean, you're going to pay quite a bit of chunk of change for a good inverter system. Obviously, you don't want. I mean, there are different brands out there, different options. Install, being the install manager, install does make a difference on how you're installing these systems, making sure you're cleaning the refrigerant lines properly, making sure you have adequate ductwork, and the location that we can fit the system into the area. That's the biggest thing, because energy efficiency goes up with the inverters. Back again to that SEER thing.
Mm-hmm.
It goes anywhere between, our inverter series starts at 20 SEER and goes up. So size of the equipment gets a lot bigger, so we have to accommodate for the space and make sure we have the room for it. So sometimes some homeowners just don't have the space for it, and as much as I wish I could make it happen, there's only so much you can fit.
One of the questions we got is why is there hot and cold spots inside the house? And I know, even thinking about my own home, there's one room in the very back of the house that's always hotter than everywhere else, and it's always colder than everywhere else in the winter. Why is that?
That has to do a little bit with duct design. Maybe, Dennis, you can help me out a little bit on that, because on new construction, they have to do certain guidelines that they fit with returns in each room, supplies, and then sizing the units based upon what we call a heat load calculation. So we can literally do a heat load calculation on individual rooms, and then make sure that you have proper attic insulation and that you're getting the right amount of CFM or airflow into that room going in and coming out.
How do you fix that if one room's hotter or colder?
There are a lot of reasons that it can happen. It can happen if that room's on the south side of the house because of the sun hitting the walls out there. One of the things that we find a lot of is when you've got a room, whether it's isolated or not, your thermostat is out in a common area most of the time, and that room, once it gets to temperature, it shuts off, but you've got bigger area with cooler air in it, but that room's not getting a supply because it's not calling for it at the thermostat. So sometimes that room, combination of what Thomas said with the attic insulation, whether it's on the side that's getting sun hitting it, you're not getting any airflow in there. So if you shut that door, there's nothing going on in there if you don't have a ceiling fan or something moving around the air.
So in some cases, you would want to add like a return in that room, some fixes that you could do if you have a hot or cold spot in the house. One, we'd have to look at the duct design to make sure that everything's getting the proper sizing going to that room. Number two would be if it doesn't have a return in the room where you change a filter out. You've got to be able to pull the hot air out of the room as much as you do it. If you ever noticed, if you go into a house and a homeowner says, well, my bedroom gets really hot at night. Well, the first question we usually ask, do you close your door? And if they don't have returns in the room and they close their door, there's your example. That's what's going on.
So you would add a return and that could fix it.
Correct. Yep. Typically, adding a return into it wouldn't make sense. You'd think putting more cold in there, but the way it works is you add a return in there and it'll remove the hot air.
So I've got a vacant house question, right? We get this a lot. What happens, especially with as hot as it is and as humid as it is here in our climate, if you turn the system off? Right? We see that a lot where people turn it off. I walked in a house the other day and it was 94 degrees because no one's occupying the home. They just flat out turn the system off. And I'm like, good God, is this thing going to break when I turn it on or what? It was so hot and it took forever to cool the place down.
Correct.
94 degrees. At what point, doesn't mold start setting in at a certain temperature?
Well, that we don't actually do the bacteria. I mean, we call it bacterial growth because obviously we don't test for the mold or anything like that. However, recommended is anywhere between 80 to 85 degrees, keeping the air conditioner on, keeping it running, because it's like with a car. If you let a car sit and park it and don't run it for 6-8 months and then try to go start that car up, car doesn't usually like you too much at the beginning. And same thing goes for our air conditioners. They like to be a moving part and they like to keep moving, keep the air circulating the house, and can prevent some of that bacterial growth from forming inside the home.
So you should set it at least on 85, right?
Yeah,
I
at
would
least
think.
85. I mean, somewhere
Leo,
around there.
any thoughts on when that mold actually sets in a home? At what temperature you should set it out, a vacant home?
Vacant home?
What temperature should you not go above?
I generally try not to go above 82.
That's what I always thought it was
78 to
82. Yeah. 82 was kind of like the magic number I always heard. That's why I wanted to know.
Great analogy here in Florida. Anybody's owned a boat, the worst thing you can do if you own a boat is to let it sit. Things happen when it's just sitting. So you need to
It's
have that
anything,
unit
even
going.
parts of your home. We get empty
Absolutely.
nesters that, half or 75%, right, of their family have moved out, and it's just one or two people left in this big home, and they have toilets they haven't flushed in a long time, and just areas of the house not being used. What happens over time, Leo, when you're not using those spaces?
I mean, it's just a house wants to be used.
Things break down.
I mean, there was a great series on Netflix that actually showed you, like, when people disappeared, what happens to things, to buildings, to systems, to communities, what the animal life does, and everything gets taken over in salad. But things want to be run. I mean, the best way to have an AC system last for 20 years is to run it on a regular, continual basis over the course of the 20 years and service and maintain it.
Well, it's like our bodies, right? We have to move them or they kind of break.
You brought it up another huge point. Just because the empty nester, you've got a big house, don't shut off returns, don't shut off
don't close
ductwork
that.
or anything
That is a big issue
because
with
you
that.
don't use it. Yeah, that
point.
really is.
I actually see
bad.
that all the time. They'll close the vents, and the vents will condensate, so there'll be dripping water in rooms in it, and they don't even know about it because they don't go into those rooms.
I wanted to talk about smart thermostats, but we're out of time.
Oh, no.
We're going to have you guys back another day.
Yeah.
Thanks so much
Wonderful.
for coming. You guys have been great
for having
guests.
us.
Paul, glad to have you back here on Tampa Home Talk. And again, we have Mario's Air Conditioning and Heating. Remember, love where you live, we're going to fix it. Welcome home. We'll be back next week.